activism channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Trump hush money case and the criminal investigation into that, as well as the indictment that happened last Tuesday and everything that's been going on since, as well as the future of what's going to be happening with this criminal investigation. So first of all, the state of New York charged Trump with falsifying business records in the first degree. If we go into the actual indictment, like about the annotations of it, what's been actually happening into that. So the New York Times really amazingly annotated the entire case that Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney, made. And so going through this document, they basically say that Trump on there are 34 charges against Trump. 11 are related to the invoices from Michael Cohen, who was Trump's former lawyer. 11 related to checks that were written from Trump and his funds to reimburse Cohen. And then 12 are relating to more like Trump's reimbursement in the books. So all of this has to do with the hush money that Trump paid to Stormy Daniels, the $131,000 that firstly, and I think that there's a lot of misinformation going around about this, but Trump didn't initially pay Stormy Daniels. That wasn't a direct thing that he did. What happened actually was that Michael Cohen, his lawyer, in October of 2016, paid Stormy Daniels $131,000 out of his own pocket. And then in 2017, about a year after the election, when Donald Trump was now president, he, in a series of checks, reimbursed Cohen for the money that he paid Stormy Daniels. And so Cohen was eventually reimbursed. But in the important part in all of this, and the felony that actually happened, because I don't think that hush money, I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, but from what I've been reading, hush money isn't a felony or a misdemeanor or anything, but it's that Trump, in the checks that he gave to Cohen to reimburse him, he wrote that they were for legal services, which that's false, because hush money isn't really a legal service. So that was what was happening. So the invoices, for, again, the legal fees, those weren't actually legal fees that neither Cohen gave to Stormy Daniels nor that Trump paid to Cohen. So that's what's been going on with this, and that's where the felony really comes in. So in the first degree just means that he was the one to do it, which he was, because he signed off on the checks that said for legal services to Michael Cohen. So that's what's been happening. So again, he falsified the business records to pay the adult film actress Stormy Daniels to keep her from going public about the affair, because obviously that was in October of 2016, right before the election, and if something like this had gone out, Trump feared that it would dramatically hurt his chances of becoming president. So that's where he is coming with this. So far, the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, again, is working on this investigation, and as you guys probably know, last Tuesday, Trump was indicted. He pled not guilty, and if we rather go back into the courtroom, as the New York Times is talking about it, but basically Trump pled not guilty to the charges. Now, criminal investigations in the U.S. work is that, first of all, investigators gather evidence about a claim, they present it to a grand jury, which is what happened before the indictment. The grand jury doesn't decide guilty or not guilty or anything like that. They just decide if the evidence brought by the investigators makes sense. And so if it does make sense, they can issue an indictment, which is what happened on, March 30th, I think it was, that the indictment was announced. So Trump was indicted, I think first president ever, either to get indicted or to go to court, which he eventually will do, for a full trial and everything. Because even though it may look like one here, it's not a trial. There's no jury. The grand jury that we were talking about previously isn't the one that's present here, but rather after the indictment is filed and given, the prosecutor can charge the accusee of the charges that have been filed, and then from there, the person who's possibly guilty or not guilty pleads guilty or not guilty. If they plead guilty, then it goes straight to sentencing by judge, and if they plead not guilty, then that starts the trial process. And since Trump pled not guilty, we're going to see a court case. I don't think it's going to be live streamed or anything like that, because a lot of things in this Trump arrangement have been much different from regular proceedings. So first of all, with the mugshot, there was no mugshot taken of Donald Trump for a couple of reasons. First of all, because the reason for taking a mugshot in the first place is to identify the criminal or like alleged criminal, so that if they, run away or get out or something somehow, that you have a photo of them to distribute to raise awareness about them and, get them back. So that's the reason why they take mugshots in the first place, is to have a record of what that person looks like. But since Donald Trump is so high profile and you can more than easily get pictures of him, they're readily available, there's no need for a mugshot in that sense. And also, if a mugshot of him were to be leaked, or of anyone, I think it is, then they would have to go through a series of investigations, and that would just be a whole hassle. And so both for that reason and the former, they didn't take mugshots. There's a whole political side of things to this as well. Trump is claiming that some of the family members of the judge have interned or worked for Kamala Harris, so that makes him biased. And then the district attorney as well, Alvin Bragg, Trump is claiming that he's just on a political witch hunt to get Trump in jail. And whether that may be true or not, Trump is certainly trying to dodge the fact that he committed these series of crimes, but these are really the smallest crimes committed. Even though falsifying business records is bad, it's one of the lowest class of demeanors rather in New York State. It's an E felony, which means, again, it's the lowest class of misdemeanor. It doesn't matter that much. And for Alvin Bragg to prove that, or not prove, but for Alvin Bragg to be successful in getting Trump in jail or whatever it is, he not only has to prove that the falsified business records covered up the affair, or that Trump did so to cover up the affair, but that he also falsified business records to commit some other crime. So he kind of has to prove 2 in 1, since it's such a low class felony, and so that's on Alvin Bragg's part. So if there's nothing else, and I've heard that he's trying to tie it in somewhat to January 6th or something else, but that's that. And looking back into the annotated version of what actually they were talking about. Okay, so looking at what they were actually talking about in court at the time, this is really the main part of this. That Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal criminal conduct that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 election. This is kind of the big idea here on a social level. And then the falsifying business records, of course, is the legal side of things. But that Trump did this, in essence, to conceal information from the voting public. Something that happens for every person who wants to run for president, whether they're someone like Donald Trump or Biden, who's very high profile, or whether it be your neighbor who's not going to get any votes or anything like that. But anyone who's running for president, not write-ins, of course, because they don't have any control for these types of things, but someone who's running for president in the official capacity has to, first of all, disclose their tax records, their IRS, their tax records, which Trump didn't do until the Supreme Court forced him to, which that rule that you have to disclose business information and tax records isn't an official rule nor in the Constitution, nowhere in the Constitution, but it's more of a social thing where the public should know what's going on with your business records and your tax stuff, so that they know if there's any conflict of interest and they know where your money's coming from and all these different types of things. So him doing this concealed valuable information from the voting public in 2016, and he did it to lead them astray and think that he did nothing wrong in this case. So that's what's been going on thus far with the Trump indictment. Again, only the hush money case. This is only one of 4 criminal investigations currently going on with Trump. We have another video explaining the other 3 that haven't gone as far as this one, but make sure to check those out as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.